In distant lands, on the ancient soils of Iran, there was a secret hidden for thousands of years. This secret was Ahriman, a three-headed dragon dwelling in the depths of the Zardusht mountains. Ahriman had been asleep since the darkest times of the past, but his legend was still whispered among the people with fear. Ahriman, hiding his massive body in the dark corners of caves, possessed different wisdom and power in each of his heads. The first head was known as the Sovereign of Fire. His breath could turn anything to ash. The second head was the Lord of Venom. His teeth carried a poison that could instantly kill any living creature it touched. The third head was called the Guardian of Shadows. This head's eyes could see everything even in darkness and could catch enemies in the shadows. Every month, on the night of the full moon, Ahriman would awaken and spread his dark wings over the village to kidnap a young girl. Each abduction left the village in great fear and mourning. Ahriman's victims never returned, and no one knew where they were taken. The villagers believed that the souls of the girls abducted by the dragon were condemned to eternal suffering. Nazli was one of the most beautiful and cheerful girls in the village. She had long black hair and deep brown eyes. Like every child in the village, Nazli had grown up with the stories of Ahriman and prayed every full moon night that the dragon would not choose her. But one night, her worst fear came true. On the night of the full moon, Nazli was at home with her family. Suddenly, a strong wind was heard outside. The door of their house slammed open, and a cold air filled the inside. Nazli clung to her mother in fear. But then, a massive shadow appeared at the doorstep. The three-headed dragon spread his wings and leaned over Nazli. The dragon's eyes locked onto Nazli's fearful gaze. Her screams tore through the night, but neither her family nor the neighbors were strong enough to save her. Ahriman grabbed Nazli with his enormous claws and flew into the night. After Nazli was abducted, the village was gripped by great mourning and anger. A young warrior named Kian could not remain indifferent to this tragedy. Kian, who was Nazli's childhood friend and secretly in love with her, swore to kill the dragon. He took his best sword and shield and set off towards the Zardusht mountains. After days of travel, Kian reached Ahriman's cave. His heart was filled with fear, but he suppressed it with his love and desire for revenge. As he ventured deeper into the cave, he could hear the dragon's breathing echoing. His heart raced as he tightly gripped his sword and proceeded into the depths. Ahriman had awakened in the dark corner of the cave and was waiting. The dragon laughed with all three heads when he saw Kian. Kian raised his sword and charged at the dragon. But the Sovereign of Fire opened his enormous jaws and spewed flames at Kian. Kian tried to pass through the flames but unfortunately failed. The flames engulfed his body, turning it to ash. Kian had fought bravely against the dragon but was defeated. As the months passed, Ahriman's terror continued. The fear in the village grew. One night, the next victim was Layla. Layla was one of the wisest and most beautiful girls in the village. She had long, wavy hair and emerald green eyes. On the night of the full moon, Layla's family tried desperately to protect her, but they were no match for Ahriman's power. The dragon spread his wings, grabbed Layla in his claws, and ascended into the sky. After Layla's abduction, another brave young man, Biram, decided to fight the dragon. Biram was one of the strongest and bravest young men in the village. He was skilled with a sword and had vowed to kill the dragon and save Layla. Biram set off towards the Zardusht mountains, following Kian's path, and reached Ahriman's cave. Standing at the entrance of the cave, Biram took a deep breath and suppressed his fear as he entered. Inside, the dragon awaited him. Biram drew his sword and charged at the dragon. But the Lord of Venom bared his poisonous fangs and attacked Biram. Biram tried to break the dragon's teeth with his sword, but the Lord of Venom sprayed his poison on him. The poison spread through Biram's body, paralyzing him. Biram fell to the ground in agony and took his last breath. Layla's abduction caused great sorrow in the village. Layla was the beloved of the young warrior Arash. Arash swore to rescue Layla and kill the dragon. After days of planning and preparation, he set off towards the Zardusht mountains. He carried his magical dagger and his best armor. Arash had learned from the failures of the other young men and decided to be more cautious. After days of travel, Arash reached the Zardusht mountains and plunged into the deep caves. As he advanced in the darkness, he could hear the dragon's massive breathing echoing. Finally, when he entered Ahriman's cave, he saw that all three heads were awake and watching him. The dragon stood before him as a massive being. Its body was covered in gigantic scales, each shining like armor. The dragon's first head, the sovereign of fire, instilled fear with its enormous jaws and terrifying teeth. This head could turn anything to ash with its fiery breath. The second head, the Lord of Venom, had a mouth full of poisonous teeth, capable of killing anything it touched. The third head, the Guardian of Shadows, was surrounded by bright yellow eyes that could see everything in the darkness. "Ahriman," Arash called out, "I am here to demand Layla's release." The dragon laughed with all three heads simultaneously. "I admire your courage, human. But do you think you are strong enough to fight me?" Arash drew the magical dagger he had brought with him. This dagger, according to legend, was the only weapon that could defeat the dragon. Ahriman prepared to meet Arash's charge with disdain, but the young warrior moved unexpectedly quickly, driving the dagger into the Sovereign of Fire's head. As the Sovereign of Fire's head screamed in pain, enormous flames filled the cave. Arash faced the intense heat of the flames but quickly withdrew and focused on the Lord of Venom. The venomous head bared its teeth and advanced towards Arash. As the Lord of Venom attacked, Arash swiftly moved and cut one of the dragon's poisonous teeth with his dagger. However, the venom from the tooth splattered onto Arash's armor. While the Lord of Venom snarled in pain, Arash stabbed the head again, this time in the center. The Lord of Venom's head let out one last scream and collapsed to the ground. Arash now turned his attention to the final head, the Guardian of Shadows. The Guardian of Shadows, with its yellow eyes glowing in the darkness, watched Arash. This head moved quickly, trying to draw Arash into the shadows. But Arash, holding his dagger tightly, carefully advanced through the shadows. The Guardian of Shadows lunged at Arash from the shadows. Arash dodged at the last moment, avoiding the dragon's head. The young warrior quickly regained his footing and drove the dagger into the Guardian of Shadows' eyes. The head recoiled in pain, but Arash did not relent. He stabbed the head again, completely neutralizing it. As Ahriman's three heads lay lifeless on the ground, Arash took a deep breath. He ventured deeper into the cave to find Layla. He found her tied up in a corner. Arash rescued his beloved and brought her outside. When they returned to their village, Arash dragged the three heads of the dragon, tied together, to the village square. The villagers celebrated Arash's bravery and success. The rescue of Layla and the death of the dragon brought great joy to the village. The people declared Arash a hero and crowned him the ruler of the region. Arash and Layla continued to live in peace and harmony in the village. Ahriman's terror had ended, and the villagers began to lead safer and happier lives under their new leader Arash. The fear hidden in Ahriman's cave was now gone, and the village returned to days filled with hope. Arash, now hailed as the hero who defeated Ahriman, became the revered leader of his village. His victory over the dragon not only brought peace but also instilled hope and courage among the villagers. With Layla by his side, Arash led the community with wisdom and fairness, ensuring that Ahriman's terror would never haunt their lands again. In the aftermath of Ahriman's defeat, the village embarked on a journey of rebuilding and renewal. The scars left by the dragon's reign of terror slowly healed as the villagers worked together to restore their homes and their lives. With Arash's guidance, they fortified their defenses and prepared for any future challenges that might come their way. Arash's leadership extended beyond his prowess in battle. He became known for his wisdom and compassion. Under his rule, the village flourished, and its people prospered. He implemented fair laws and ensured that everyone had a voice in the community. His courage in facing Ahriman inspired the younger generations to aspire to greatness and protect their homeland. As the village celebrated Arash's victory, They also honored the memories of those who had fallen in the struggle against Ahriman. Kian, Biram, and others who had bravely faced the dragon were remembered as heroes who had sacrificed their lives for the safety of their loved ones. Their names were etched into the village's history as symbols of bravery and determination. Layla, rescued from the clutches of Ahriman, played an integral role in the village's recovery. Her resilience and strength inspired other young women to stand up against fear and adversity. She became a counselor and mentor, offering support to those who needed guidance and encouragement. Layla's presence alongside Arash symbolized hope and unity for the villagers. With Ahriman defeated and his curse lifted, the villagers no longer lived in fear of the dragon's wrath. The once ominous Zardusht mountains became a symbol of resilience and triumph. Stories of Arash's bravery spread far and wide, becoming a legend that would be passed down through generations. Arash and Layla's story became a tale of love, courage, and triumph over darkness. Their legacy endured in the hearts of the villagers, reminding them of the power of unity and determination in the face of adversity. As life returned to normal in the village, Arash continued to lead with humility and strength, ensuring that the lessons learned from their struggle against Ahriman would never be forgotten. Thus, the legend of Arash, the hero who defeated the three-headed dragon Ahriman, became a beacon of hope and inspiration for all who heard his tale.